I want to start with the central argument in your book, where you suggest that perhaps the model of growth that India is following is not optimal, that we should really be playing to our strengths and services rather than trying to subsidize these big manufacturers to come and set up shop in the country, that it should be a brains over brawn approach to growth. Can you elaborate?
Well, there are a few problems with that path right now. The first is that typically what happened was these manufacturing economies got richer and left the simple manufacturing to others. China isn't leaving. China still has a lot of workers that it needs to employ from agriculture into manufacturing. The second problem, however, is that the rents, the profits from doing this kind of activity have been completely completed away. Foxconn, which does all Apple's manufacturing. Apple hasn't manufactured a thing since 2004. Foxconn's value is $50 billion. Apple's value is $3 trillion, 60 times. Why? Because manufacturing is not that profitable anymore. So what India is trying to do, climb up the ladder that way, we think is a task which would have been better done 20 years ago. It's a little late to do this. Yes, if they come, if manufacturers want to site in India because it's a China plus one strategy, great. But to subsidize them heavily to do that with the hope that they will stay in India, you're essentially trying to create profits for manufacturers.
The Modi government, of course, has been spending billions of dollars in subsidizing companies like Apple, Foxconn, chip makers like Micron, for instance. Where do you think that money can be more optimally used for better economic outcomes?
The deal India signed with Micron, which at least prima facie is that India is going to subsidize the Micron factory, 2.7 billion in investment, 2 billion of which will come from the Indian government. No equity, no nothing. We're just going to give the money. Now, $2 billion seems, for an industrial country like, pennies, it's pocket change. For India, $2 billion is over 1/3 the entire higher education budget of the central government. So we're spending $2 billion for what? 5,000 jobs.
One of your former colleagues at the RBI, Dr. Viralacharya, has raised serious concerns about industrial concentration in India, the rise of crony capitalism, or the fact that players like the Adanis or the Ambanis are growing at the cost of other smaller businesses. Do you agree?
What is reasonably clear in India is a few large groups have gained heft relative to others. Being big is not bad. Being big and politically influential, that becomes problematic. What is particularly worrisome is if you build national champions on the basis of tariff protection, as well as privileged access to licenses, permissions, etc. It is particularly dangerous if outside investors think the only way they can make their way in India is if they have an alliance with one of the big players.
Do you believe India's data as a whole, even on things such as GDP, is credible?
I would not doubt the intentions of the organizations collecting the data. Are the data timely? Are they sufficiently accurate to make decisions? There, I think there are more questions. For example, our data on employment. The best data are from private providers. You're flying blind if you don't know what the true unemployment level is. And you can't actually have a proper political debate. So I think we need better data to inform us. But we also need to allow that data to be used by researchers. We can't sort of suppress it and hold it if it's, if the early signs are that it will send a bad message.